Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first webinar from ReeR Academy. During this webinar, we will present the overview of the Mosaic product range. Mosaic is our safety controller. So we will divide these webinars in different steps. First of all, I want to introduce myself. I am Giuseppe Oliverio. I am the after sales manager for the ReeR company, and I'm also in charge for the trainings and some pre-sales activity in our company. And I will be with you for all the time that we need to go deeper also into some technical matters about our products. So today, the main focus will be the overview. So we will discuss about the products, and we will also see the, let me say, what we can offer as solution for the managing of all the safety machinery. So first of all, let me share with you the presentation. So Mosaic stands for Modular Safety Integrated Controller. This means that we are also able to manage all the safety function of a machinery. The system is modular and expandable. So this means that you can add expansions module based on what you need. Let me tell you that at the end of this presentation, there will be a time for some questions. You can also write in the meantime. You can also raise your hands, but at the end of the training, we will have some time to discuss about the questions that you made. The system allows cost reduction and minimal wiring. So in which way? The system, compared to a standard solution where you have the safety device and you have to manage the safety signal of this safety device, must be connected to a safety relay in order to collect the signal and drive in a safety way some actuators. Well, if you use a safety controller like our, you will see that you don't need any safety relay, but you just need to connect the safety device directly to the safety controller and manage all the safety function from the configuration software. So some advantages: reducing the number of devices and wiring. Well, we know that if we use one safety relay, each safety device, maybe we can face some wiring mistakes. Then maybe it will be harder to find something that, where is the problem? So the controller itself allows to reduce the wiring, to speed up the control panel construction, and to give you the right diagnostic in order to reduce the time also for maintenance. And we will see how to do it. We will see today, and we will see also during the technical training about the software and the PLC communication with the new controller. The system is a tamper-proof system. This means that you will have different level of password. Different level of password allow you to do different stuff, like only monitoring, like downloading the software, like do some changes into the MSD software. And the MSD is the software, the Mosaic Safety Designer, that allow us to do every configuration. The logic is configured through a graphic interface. This means that you don't need to know any software language to program the controller, but everything is done through certified function blocks. And this is also the main difference between a controller and a PLC. So most of the customer will tell you, okay, but why I have to choose a safety controller instead of a safety PLC? Well, if we look at the most famous safety PLC, maybe the safety function must be done through the software, through the configuration. In this case, we have specified certificated function blocks. And now with the new controller with M1S-COM, it's also possible to do the remote connection through the RJ45. And remote connection plus the different level of password will allow you to do different stuff. So if we talk about safety function block, certificated function blocks, what we are able to manage. So as you can see, there is here a list of all the safety devices that you can manage. Okay, and every single device that you can see in this list has its own function block already certified. So all the safety function of every single block of every single device, it's already done into the software, into the controller. So the controller is in charge to manage the signals from the safety device and then to manage also the safety logic and the safety function. So you can connect light curtains, photo cells, type 2 photo cells, laser scanner, emergency stop, electromechanical guard lock, electromechanical switches, magnetic switches, safety mats, and so on. Also, the two hands control. For the two hands, for example, we have the certified block. So you don't need to write any software. Everything is done inside the controller, inside the software. And then we have also the possibility to manage to do the safety speed monitoring by using proximities or encoders. So this is an example, okay? So we will stop here just to say that try to imagine to manage one safety light curtain, one emergency stop, one RFID switch or magnetic switch, whatever, and do it with the safety relay, with standard safety relay. You will see that you need at least one safety relay, each safety device, at least one or more safety relays in order to do the logic and then the connection to the actuator. So you are adding some safety device, some components inside your cabinet. So it also increases the possibility to do some mistakes. The controller is able to manage safety functions where these safety level are required. So the controller can be used in application where the highest category level is needed. So everything depends on the machine, on the risk assessment, on the application. So consider this level like an up to, so the controller can work in application up to category 4, up to performance level E. So if you have a lower category, don't worry, it will work as well. And also, we are lift compliance. Talking about the hardware, we have mainly 3 different main units. So we have the first one, that is the M1. Then we evolved this into the M1S, and now we have the M1S COM main unit. Every main unit can work as a standalone unit. So this means that you don't need to do anything, but just to connect the safety device. If the reserves on the controller are enough, you can connect the safety device directly to each controller. In the case of the M1S COM like this, or also in case of other controllers, I said the system is modular and expandable. So you can add or remove expansion based on the requirement of the machine. M1 main unit. So what we are able to offer with this thin controller. Consider that the dimension is 22.5 millimeter as width. So in that dimension, you have 8 digital input, 2 safety output, OSSD safety output. So auto tested triggered output that are able to detect every short circuit present on the load. 2 status output that you can use in application or in some part of the process that requires performance level C, for example. Then we have 2 dedicated input for EDM function, so feedback control or reset function. So mainly as input pin, we have 10 inputs. Then 2 of them you can use as a input for feedback or reset. And then we have 4 dedicated output tests. So instead of using the OSSD, and spend some more time than with the software to change the behavior of a safety OSS or a safety output, we have 4 dedicated test output. The test output are some special trigger output with a 24-volt signal that are able to detect, that are used in order to detect the short circuit, the presence of a short circuit into the electromechanical contacts. So in case of every switch or every emergency stop or interlock switch with electromechanical contact, then you can test by using the controller. So without doing any other wiring or any other change into the software, you can do by just from the software. So the M1S mainly double the amount of output. So in this case, you have up to 4 OSSD safety output, up to 4 status output, and up to 4 feedback or reset input. So the fact that we are going to increase the amount of output allow you to manage more and more actuators. And M1S COM, the M1S from the input output point of view, let me say it's the same as the M1S, but the M1S COM now has the fieldbus interface on board. So we are able to exchange data to a PLC to an higher level and also do the remote connection for monitoring, for example, directly on the controller. So directly on the controller, we have 4 different fieldbus interfaces. And in this case, we have Ethernet IP, Modbus TCP, EtherCAT, and Profinet. So the commercial advantage, the commercial benefit is that you don't need to add any other expansions and you don't need to change the code. With the main unit, you have 4 different fieldbus Ethernet based. So every time you have different PLC, well, an application with a different PLC, then you can choose the M1S COM, and with that you can manage the safety function plus the data exchange to with a PLC. This is the comparative table between the main units. So based on this number, okay, based on this number is quite easy to understand the possibility of the main unit as a standalone, but consider that we can add up to 14 expansions. And these allow you to manage up to 128 inputs, up to 48 status output, up to 32 OSSD, and a little description of what we have here. So 128 physical inputs. We are not talking about the EDM or reset inputs. We are talking about the inputs, so safety device. Then we have the fieldbus input. Fieldbus input are something that you can exchange, you can send from the PLC to the controller, to the Mosaic, by using, of course, some virtual inputs. Safety output. These are the OSSD safety output, so the trigger output. With the M1 up to 16 OSSD with the entire configuration with 14 expansions. With the M1S and M1S COM up to 32. So in case of managing some actuator with safety function, with safety output, then you can use the safety SSD. So, okay, 32. 32 means that you can manage up to 32 actuator in a safety way. So you have to think about the dimension also of this application. Then, once we describe the input and the output, we have to connect input and output, and we have to manage some functions. And we do this through the what we call the MSD operators. The MSD operators can be timers, muting, safety guard lock, or standard Boolean port, so AND or XOR and so on. What we can also do is to set up some memories. And we will see during the training dedicated to the software the description of this MSD operator and how to use it in the right way. Then we have also the probes. Probes are something like the, let me say, the breakpoint. Okay, so you can use these probes in order to know what is the software. So what is the logic of the safety controller? So if we are going to pass through that logic, then I can attach a probe and check where the software is. As I said, field bus interface available protocol. So the M1S-COM integrate for different field bus. Here, another example. We will use this example in order to do also the software presentation, the software webinar. But let me tell you that you have to imagine doing the same application with a standard safety relays. So one safety relay for the light curtain, one safety relay for the emergency stop, one safety relay for the RFID switch, one safety interface or safety relay for the photo cell, plus other contacts to do the logic. So now think about the time that you have to spend for the wiring, the dimension and the cost of the entire solution, the cost for the maintenance if you do some mistakes. Then now remove everything, connect all the device to the controller, and with the M1S-COM or also the other controllers, but in this case with the M1S-COM, you will be able to drive up to 4 actuators. Then maybe you will use 4 safety relay instead of, you name, you say it, how many. These are some examples about how big this configuration can be. So you can use in small application or in big application where you have to use many expansions, where you have many safety devices to manage many safety functions. So the problem is not the amount of input and output. We are able to cover all every application. So every time you have some application, every time you have something and you want to know how many input output and how many expansion you have to install, you can also contact us and you can also evaluate the entire solution with us. So you can connect up to 14 expansions to the master unit. And in terms of numbers, the minimum number of modules is 1. So the main unit can work as a standalone unit. And if you consider the big system, you can manage up to 128 inputs, 32 EDM or reset, 32 OSSD output, plus 48 status. So think about an application like this. And again, we are able to evaluate with you the right solution, with you the electrical scheme, the electrical drawing, because maybe the customer says, oh, okay, I need to change something. No problem. We can evaluate the solution with you. So now a description of what we are able to offer in terms of devices for the Mosaic family. So main units, we already know the M1, the M1S, and the M1S COM. But talking about the MI802, MI804, we are talking about input-output modules. So modules, expansions that you can add in order to manage 8 more inputs and 4 or 2 more OSSD signals. And let me tell you this, when you have the 4 OSSD device, you can also change the configuration with 4 single or 2 double channel output. So everything is configurable. Then, if you need only inputs, we have the MI8, MI16. MI8 is 8 more input, MI16 has 16 more input. Then we have the analog modules. So the analog modules, we have the MA4 and MA2, so 4 channel or 2 channel. In this case, you can manage signal in 4 to 20 milliamps interface or 0 to 10 volt. It doesn't matter what you're going to measure. What is important is the output signal from the device. Then, if it's certified, better. If not, we are also able to manage the redundancy of the signal. And I will add something to this module. If you use the M1S COM, or if you use the expansion, the field bus expansion, and you have the analog module, you will read, for example, you are going to check the pressure, okay? The analog signal from a pressure sensor. Quite easy. And then you want to measure the PSI value and do all the safety logic to the PSI value. Then, if you use the M1S COM and you want to exchange data to the PLC, to send some data to the PLC, we will send the PSI value to the PLC. So also from the software point of view, the software engineer, it doesn't need to scale anything, to swap bytes or to do some conversion to the signal, because we are able to provide the engineering unit. And this is one of the most complex modules that we have in our portfolio. Digital inputs with 12 inputs plus 8 test output. So imagine to have a lot of electromechanical contacts, and then you have to test every single contacts. In case of the MI12T8, you have more output tests in order to be used with the electromechanical contacts. So every time you have an electromechanical contact, like for example, the emergency stop, and you want to reach the highest category level with the highest diagnostic coverage, you have to use the output test. But maybe, depending on the application, you have to add more expansions in order to manage these electromechanical contacts. Well, the MI12T8 allow you to reduce the amount of device inside the cabinet, the amount of components inside the cabinet, and manage more and more electromechanical contacts. Or, for example, also more and more safety mats. So everything depending on the application. Then we have what we call the MCT. So the module that allow you to do the remote connection between the hardware. So it's not a software connection, it's a hardware connection. Imagine to have a big line with a big distance, and you have to check, or better, you have to mount all the expansion in the same cabinets. Then you need more wiring length, more strips, more terminals. Then this maybe can cause a mistake, a miswiring. In this case, with the MCT, you can split the hardware configuration inside the cabinet and do some remote stations with the expansion. And everything will be managed by the main unit, by the single main unit. So everything will be inside one software. Then you can split the hardware. So like this, okay, like we have here, we have the main unit in the main cabinet, for example, and then we have different stations. Each station needs the remote controller, the remote connection with the MCT. We have MCT1 or MCT2 based on the amount of expansion that you have to do. Then module with output only, so MO2 with 2 safety output, MO4 with 4 safety output. Then we have also the output module with high current consumption output. So up to 2 amps, you can drive actuator up to 2 amps with safety signal, with safety OSSD signal. For example, hydraulic valves, you can drive the hydraulic valves directly from this, so without using a relay in the middle. Or if you want to configure the logic of the relay, because these are OSSD output. And OSSD output, safety output are triggered, and maybe the valves is able to detect the trigger. You can also mount the relay module. And we have two different families of relay. We have the MOR and we have the MR. So the MOR are the configurable one. Means that you can configure the behavior of the contacts directly from the software. You can decide the behavior and the category of the contact directly from the software without doing anything special with the wiring. The MR, we have 2 contact, 4 contact, or 8 contacts. And these are, let me say, standard guided safety relay. Okay, so you need 1 or more OSSD signal, and you have to connect to the safety relay. Then, for some particular function like the speed monitoring, we have the expansions able to manage the signal from proximities or encoders. And we have 3 different models. The MV0 has inputs for 1 or 2 proximities. MV1 has 2 proxy plus 1 encoder. MV2 is 2 proxy plus 2 encoders. And for MV1 and MV2, we are able to manage mainly three different signals from the encoders: sinus, cosinus, TTL, and HTL. So based on the device that the customer is using, we are able to provide the right module. Let me tell you this. When we speak about the speed monitoring, I want to tell you this in order to add some points to the discussion with the customer. If the customer is also struggling with the category, with the device that he is using and stuff like that, we can suggest the right module, the right solution by doing a few questions. First, what you are going to use in order to do the speed monitoring, proxy or encoders? Well, 1 or 2 proxy, 1 or 2 encoders. Or if it's using a single encoder, is the encoder safety? In this case, you can evaluate the right module. You can evaluate the right module that you have to propose. We have also on our website the safety guide. On that safety guide, you will find the right combination between devices and modules. And in order to achieve a particular category, you will find the right combination. So please go on our website into the safety guide and download the safety guide. You will find this comparative table. Lo facciamo dopo. The field bus modules, okay? these are some particular modules able to exchange data, the monitoring data of the controller to the PLC. Okay, so based on the PLC, on the interface that you are going to use, or the customer is going to use, you can choose one or one device that you can see in that list. So it doesn't matter the manufacturer. They can be any manufacturer of the PLC, any PLC manufacturer, but what is important is the field bus. So we are able to exchange data with every PLC. What we are also able to do is to manage the diagnostic, the specific diagnostic, thank you, the specific diagnostic for every single block that we use inside the software. And we will do it, we will do this during the software webinar. Then, if you have to manage also standard, say, status output, we have the MOS 8, MOS 16. The connection between the modules is done by using the MSC connector. So the MSC connector is always provided with our expansions module. So every time you buy a new expansion module, you will find also the MSC connector. Mainly is a serial connection between the modules. And in this case, you have to add the connector to the main unit, because the main unit can also work as a standalone, so it doesn't need the connector. But if you add the expansion, you will find inside the box, then you have to add one more MSC connector. We are also able to manage the configuration software through the MCM, so the memory card. This is an accessory, it's not mandatory. But if you have to do a backup, or if you have to download the software, the same software many times, you can do by using the MCM. So for example, you have the main units, the new main units, you have the MCM with the software inside. You don't need to open the software, you don't need to do anything, just use the MCM, insert inside the main unit, turn on the main units, the controller, upload procedure, and remove the MCM. Now you are also able to work. So also in case of maintenance, okay, you don't need to send a guy on the other side of the world to do the maintenance on the software, check what is going on. Okay, new main unit, MCM, the customer can buy a new main unit. You can buy a new main unit without any software inside. If you have the memory card, just send the memory card and download, and the customer, by inserting the memory card, will continues to work. But again, it's not mandatory. What we are also able to do is to record every error, every new download that we did on the previous machine. Mosaic Safety Designer, this is a presentation, but is a really fast overview. In the next webinar, we will have the focus on the software. So we will see the particular function of the software, how to use, how to do the software in the right way. Consider that is a drag and drop function. Okay, so again, you don't need to know any particular software language. It's very easy to use. It uses standard, certified and safety function blocks, plus some standard function blocks. The interface is very user-friendly. We are also able to do by ourselves some example and send to you. The design validation is already integrated inside the the software. So every time you download a new software, every time you make a new project, the validation will tell you if you have some mistakes inside the software, if you did something wrong, or if you leave something unconnected. As I said, it's password secure. So this means that in order to access to the module or in order to open the file, you can set up a password. We are also able to provide the log file and reporting. We have two different types of log file. The log file is the failure log file. So every time the module, the main unit, or some expansions goes in failure, we record this failure and the failure code. Or the amount of time that you download something. How to do this? If we use the USB connection with the M1 or M1S, but also the M1S COM, the connection is made through the USB. With the M1, we have the USB-A, so the micro connect, the mini interface, the mini connector. With the M1S and M1S COM, we have the USB Type-C connector. So, as we said, two different levels of password. Level 1, just for monitoring and log file. Level 2, for any software change or if you have to download something. Sorry, of course, you can change the password. Okay, if you change the password, you will add something, a different safety level, because we use also a default password, and the default password is on the manual. Log file. What we have on the log file is the amount of downloaded software. So on purpose, we use an old module here. And as you can see, I am able to read that in 2013, we downloaded something into that module. So if something happened, we are also able to provide the data, to read that data about how many times you download something new. And the CRC code is based on the software configuration. So if you have a different CRC code, something happened, something changed. Real-time monitoring. So you can do this through the USB, or with M1S COM, you can do this through the RJ45 connector. And we have two different ways to do the monitor. We have the graphical monitor that you can see on the right, and the text monitor that you can see on the left. The text monitor is more like the variable table where you can see also the status and diagnostic. And the graphical is more, let me say, user-friendly. You will see the color, dashed lines, red or green lines. Plus, we are also able to read the diagnostic. As you can see here, if you put your mouse on the line, you will see that the diagnostic code plus the diagnostic description. And again, we are able to transfer all these data plus the specific diagnostic. So as you can see here, the e-gate. So this block is in fail, okay, has some diagnostic. We are also able to provide information that this gate is in failure. So if you have to do some maintenance, go and check only the e-gate connections. Now, the M1S COM, a small, let me say, overview of the M1S COM, that again on board has 4 protocols. So Ethernet IP, EtherCAT, Profinet, and Modbus TCP. You can set up the protocol that you are going to use directly from the software, and you can set up also the network parameters. So the network parameters must be the same as the controller, so as the PLC. In case of Ethernet IP and Modbus, you can also use the dynamic addressing of the controller with the Profinet. You have to assign the same name on the PLC and on the software here on the MSD. With EtherCAT, everything will be done by the controller. In case you are asking, yes, the modules support the EOE function, the Ethernet over EtherCAT function. So if the controller supports it too, we are able to assign that virtual IP to the module. So some new functions about the M1S COM. If you are on the same network and you want to check the network connection, you want to check which module is present on that network, or if you are connected to the module, to the controller, to the same network of the controller, then you can also do the device scanning, or you can set up the network parameters. And everything is integrated into the M1S MSD software. But we will do this directly in the webinar. So if you want to discover how to manage the remote connection, how to exchange data with a PLC, and what we are able to exchange with a PLC, please subscribe to register to the webinar dedicated to the M1S and the MSD, M1S COM and MSD. So again, also the memory card is you can use also with the M1S COM. We are also able to simulate the software. And in case of the simulation, you can check if the logic that you built is correct. So guys, I think that for the overview is enough. So now we have about 10 minutes for question and answer. I will read some questions and answer for you. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. So give me some minutes to read. Okay. Okay, first questions. We have a motor without encoder, and it's dangerous to open the machine cover when this motor is still rotating. If we want to use the zero-speed detection as a safety measure to open the machine cover, what ReeR equipment do you recommend to be used? You have to use the MV module for speed monitoring controller. With that module, we are also able to do the standstill control, so the zero speed plus the overspeed also, or the window detection. So go and use the MV module. What you have to do is to check the signal from the encoder. It is already possible to connect safety mats with resistor. Let me tell you this. For the safety mats, we are able to detect the electromechanical contacts, not the impedance value. So we are not able to manage that kind of signal. We are working on a particular module able to manage that kind of signal, and I hope it will arrive in the next year. Other question, is it on the plan to connect the M1S COM unit also encoders? If you mean that you can use the MV module also with M1S COM, yes, you can you can connect to the M1S com. Oh, sorry, some new questions. Yeah, you can connect the MV module. The RJ45 ports for the moment are used only for the field bus connection. So if you want to connect encoders or do some speed monitoring signal check, you have to use the MV modules. So do you have a link to register for the next webinar? Yes, on our website you will find all the webinars, same hours, uh, same beautiful presence here. But yeah, you can subscribe directly from our website, but also our marketing department will send you the link. Okay, so for all the participants of today, you will receive also the link to the next webinar. Can the log file be used to log triggers like emergency push button being pressed? In this case, we are working on something that provides you the amount of switching of the block. But what you can do is to manage through the field bus maybe. Because if you are able to detect how many times you, let me say, you push a reset button or an emergency stop button, now you can do through the field bus. So with the field bus interface, you will read the status of that emergency stop, and that emergency stop will provide the main unit will provide the information. Does the memory card also store the network parameters? Yes. The answer is yes. The memory card, when you use the memory card, you will store also the network parameter plus all the log file and everything. So yes. Give an example for when and how to use test output. I think that we have a few minutes, so I can show you how to use from our manual. So give me a second, please. I want to share with you this information because I know that sometimes it's not so immediate as to understand how to use the test output. Okay. Mainly, when you have the emergency stop or when you have the electromechanical switches, you have to use the test output. It's not mandatory, but it depends on the category level. Okay, so I'm going to share with you the screen. As you can see here, the out test signal must be used to monitor the presence of short circuit or overloads on the inputs. So imagine to have something like this and you have the controller. You want to check if on your E stop you have a short circuit or on the E gate you have a short circuit or an overload. You must use the output test already provided by the controller, so you don't need to do anything. Everything is provided from the controller. And during the MSD webinar, we will see how to configure it and how to check if everything is okay. So in order to know how to do into the software and then how to connect in the right way, you have to I hope you will enjoy with us the new webinar. is the main device? The main device is in this case, is the M1, or you can use also the M1S or the M1S comp. But all the expansions able to provide or able, let me say, to analyze input signals has the output test on board. So you will find also, for example, if I look for the MI8 module, like in this case, we have 8 inputs, but we have also 4 output tests. So it doesn't matter. Every module is built to work and to provide all the safety and to manage all the safety function of the device that you are going to connect. Any other questions? So I hope you enjoyed the webinar. I hope to see you all during the next webinar next month, and we will go deep into the software. We will analyze some particular function, how to write the software in an easy way, how to connect all the safety device, how to manage the logic and the output, and how to do the right diagnostic, and everything that is able to everything will be available on the software. So you will be able to write your own software. So please subscribe, register to the new webinar, and on our download page, you can also find the MSD software so we can do something together while the webinar is going. Okay? So I'm here for a few minutes also. So if you have some question, please feel free to write questions. If you have no questions, thank you for your attention, and I hope you enjoy everything. Oh, okay. Now I see a new. What is the difference between OSSD and relay outputs? The OSSD signal is something like this. OSSD. This is the OSSD signal. So I'm going to share with you. So mainly the OSSD is output state solid state device. But in order to be safety OSSD, the output must be able to detect the presence of the short circuit. And how to do it? By using this voltage dip test. So every certain period, for a very short time, the signal goes to 0. When it goes to 0, if you have some issue here, then like a short circuit, it is able to detect. The relay, if we are talking about safety relay, we have guided contacts. And if something happens, the contact will open and break itself. So you have multiple contacts. If you have some mistakes with the contact, the relay will go in fail. Okay. So I think that we can close the webinar. So thank you again and see you next time. Bye.